Hey guys, welcome back to Contest Prep University. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson. We are in episode 3 of our series on the disciplines of a competitive life. And I left off Adam talking about a client who had just kind of lost his way in the season, first time competitor, and didn't realize how alluring it was to just be distracted away from everything else in life. And man, I become friends with a lot of my clients and I get to know their spouses, and sometimes I meet their families at contests. And there are sometimes two different worlds to this competitive life. There's what we experience as competitors and what our families are experiencing around that orbit. And I'm just curious, with all of your experience, how you try and help clients keep that balance and sometimes even seeing what they can't see in their own lives.
I'm glad you asked that. You have to call your clients out sometimes and just ask them the opposite question or the opposing side of the question. And I had a female client tell me her and her husband had been arguing a lot recently. And, I just brought up the fact, do you think this is maybe from competing, or are you ultra stressed, or have you maybe been lashing out more? Because she was in the last 4 weeks of her prep. And she was like, now that you mention it, I could be a little bit nicer to him. And I said, yeah, that's completely normal, but the fact that she was willing to just come out and say, you know what, now that you say it that way. And the funny thing is, I think sometimes if her husband had asked her that, she would have been like, there's no way in heck. But since, I'm a different party outside of the household, people are more receptive to that. So you're always going to hear one side from your clients and you're going to hear their side. So sometimes you do have to, as a coach, put yourself in the spouse's shoes or imagine what that's like and kind of support them through it, and root for them, because you always want to root for the relationship. That's supposed to be forever, where competing is just a hobby. So you really do want to keep that foundation together, because without that, the person ideally doesn't really have anything at the end of the day if their family, friends, and spouses aren't there.
Yeah, I talk to a fair amount of clients about this because eventually it can kind of come up, as you mentioned. And one of the things I advise them is you really have to have an extra level of self-awareness, because physiologically you are going to, because of low blood sugar and so forth, have a little bit shorter temper. You're not going to have the amount of free-flowing serotonin to even feel happy. Somebody could tell you a joke and you won't even laugh like you may have 6 months ago. And it's just physiologically not there. So you have to be aware of those things and almost take extra care to be in the moment and engaged outside of your own internal life, because the stresses and the drives and ambition of competition are 24/7. It just never leaves your subconscious. So you have to be the one to kind of bridge that gap between you and other people in your life. And it's just not easy. I think we all have stories about how chaotic, that can be.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Everyone's going to react different to different things too. I know when I prep, my wife, she loved like decorating the house, and she would usually have something of candy for holidays. So candy corn for Christmas, which is kind of a crappy candy, but the fact that she had it out, I didn't really want food out, all day. So that makes definitely a difference. So that was the trigger for me in prep. And you do have to be self-aware how you deliver the news of saying, hey, I just don't want food out that I have to pass 24/7 in the house, versus maybe bringing that up in a really negative manner.
I remember even sometimes trying to justify it. Like if I was really short with a staff member or with my wife, and I would think, well, maybe since I'm dieting and I'm this way, maybe this is good. This is the unfiltered me. And this is good for me to assert myself. But then when you take yourself out of that situation and say, no, you're just being an asshole. And would I do this? Would I say these things? Would I feel these things any other time other than under the stress of dieting and competition? And the answer, of course, is no. And so again, there's just that self check we have to have. And staying centered, in with the rest of your life in the right priorities is the only way you're going to survive this long term.
Yeah. In marriage, all you want is comfort at the end of the day. So when your partner's acting different, it's pretty traumatic because you don't want change. You married that person because hopefully there was nothing you want changed about them. And that is why those tensions just grow pretty quickly. So this is a really good short conversation on covering this.
Yeah, I had a client I just talked to this morning who said that her wife was actually checking off the days on the calendar to when she was done competing, and so she could have her partner back. And literally, it was like euphoric for her because it was just a bad situation. But anyway, we're gonna move on. I think this fourth episode we do is going to be one of my favorites. I'm going to give you guys a little hint here, but it's going to be about how the sport doesn't have to be all about winning all the time. So stay tuned. We'll see you next time in Contest Prep University.